call planning board meeting to order July 2nd, 2025. First order of business approval of the minutes, June board meeting. Some major comments. Also. Make a motion, accept it. Second. All in favor? Order of business this evening, we've got some old business and site plan review. Robert Holmes, LLC representing James Goldsmith, Corp., tax map number 303.18-8-1, Colorado Roger Street, sequel site plan review from Solid Avenue storage tank on concrete pad. Pursuant to the city of Los Angeles zoning code chapter 220-20B, this will require site plan review and approval. This proposed project will be from the zoning board of appeals later this month. I'm here representing. This table, is there anyone here from the community that didn't get notice that it's table that would like to comment on that? Okay, but this table, the next month, I just want to make sure that it's on. All right, the next order of business, Michael Fernandez. All right, that's also. All right. The next order of business, Support Construction. Representing John Support, order of tax amendment number 3.103-9, there's 4 Meliodas 90 through 92 Cooper Street, seeking approval of curb cut to install new driveway pursuant to the city of Glens zoning code chapter 220-1K1. This will require advisory opinion by the planning board to the contents.
How you doing? A mess. Trying to put a new curb cut in, put a new garage. So it was an existing house there we took down. There was a shared driveway between the two houses. We're now putting a car garage in the other house was. So the curb cut has to move over, accommodate it. So we're just merely moving out to the north up the street. No, we're not. The old one is going to be curved over.
Right, so that was the questions. How are they going to sidewalk or?
Yep, put a new curb, a full driveway down the whole thing.
To make it up to city.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a letter referring to non projects for her values, the city's recommendations about how to repair the curbs, what the difference, but all that.
Yeah, it's returned to specs. Right. Is there anyone from the community that would like to comment on this matter? So maybe you already comments.
It's just a drawing we have.
From last one.
Well, it just.
Or we can write
The new driveway is 26 feet, the old one, and pretty close. Then we can I think it's on there.
I guess the one question I had is, after they call other applications, does the driveway fit to the street or?
The driveway pitches to the sidewalk from the garage.
Um, so sad to fall under the creek, we have to be concerned about stormwater.
Stormwater saying,
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's gonna be because of our last meeting. Does that require a stormwater system? But again, I'm just going from somebody who did the same thing in last week. The fact that the driveway down pitches to the street, you have to take into consideration stormwater. And you have to get a kind of slow at first. Yeah, it feeds the area, but the city engineer got to make sure that that's not going to exceed your land.
Well, there was an existing driveway.
Yeah. Okay, so you're just,
Getting rid of that improvement into the farm. So we're getting, putting a new one in, redevelopment, so, same.
So, Devin Rosales, City Gonzalez, Planning Coordinator, Tom, we only require a stormwater management plan of a certain size. Or requirement, if it's 1 acre, on anything less than 1 acre, it's not equal stormwater plan compared language.
the city engineer, said, okay, it's incredible box that will be restored, and letter for to another city engineer called for just really qualified person, the sidewalk, details, the city, city details. So, the city.
Well, I think it sounds good.
Yeah, you're good. We'll put it over and, I mean, run that issues.
I'd like to make a motion. And for remove the encroachment permits. Yep, the encroachment permits. Application of small construction representing Johnson Road. So these language First Street, presented at the meeting of July 2nd, 2025. Conditions made that the curbs be restored and the driveways being restored. And, grass restoration. Take out the, that all of it be satisfaction of the city engineer. Concrete.
Yeah, yes, that's what we're doing.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Thank you.
That is. More. Seconds, I think. That's me. All right. Next order of business. Reshoot tax map number 302.12-13-40, 34 Baldwin Avenue, Senior Pool, Kirkland, install a new driveway pursuant to the city of Minnesota zoning code chapter 220-13K1. This will require an advisory by the planning board to the common council.
Hi, my name is Rich Rudolph, and they building a single story ranch on Baldwin and requesting curb cut to access. There was no home on properties. Excuse me, there was no home on properties. That was structure.
Survey drawing, tell us how far you want. Snowy line.
From the sidewalk to the garage.
No, on each side, here it's located, as far as, from the property line to property line.
Debit. Part of our is required to file and sign and set dollars. Not sure if they are.
No, the driveway's gonna take water, there's needs to be a certain buffer, so it's there.
Oh, no, but it's, you know, it's like, something like that. That's why, do it that way, we notice, on the property here, like, a couple years ago, it was applying for the driveway.
So, I apologize for not submitting that, but it's 7.5 from the property. From the neighbor.
And that line separated with the garage.
Correct, it's from the line of,
So it's more like people properties with that, it's
correct, it's in the name of this,
So it's a new home.
yes, it's.
Well, that's not, the house is already.
Cool size.
Finished, it's great.
Oh, okay, that's good. I don't.
Don't mind any comments that as for the other front cut. We put it in to the six house. Where, you know, cut anything or anything. So,
Absolutely. So now you,
No questions. That's not fair.
Nobody's there, and,
oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, it's engineer. It's currently modified and there's the iron sidewalk. Details with city's standards. Yes, I believe. Have any issues with it? It's fine. About some stage. Sure.
let's make a motion and let's also planning board hereby submit the following advisory. So that we should vote in favor on the application of use Rudolph. Common exterior for all avenue, who is seeking approval of installing the right apron as presented by the July 2nd, 2025. Concrete apron in accordance with city and specs.
Second, second.
So,
All in favor? Thank you.
stay on.
That's just. Yeah, you also have to. Yeah. Yeah. Michael Fernandez.
I just a question on Phoebe Loves.
Yeah.
Wasn't Phoebe Loves the one last week that we heard?
Two drivers. She's actually out for bus at the second round.
Did it, or we advised that she had 100% Phoebe? So she had to get away from the street, right?
If there's a big stormwater issue with the city engineer, Second by
And we have also requested as well as to give us more dimensions. The site plan that she did provide to us, but is not able to come speak out today because she did not include the equipment. Perfect.
you, city engineer, DPW, for that location. Had issues with going over. That's why I'm making sure that it's, well, it's in mind, I think we will see engineer's comments.
Okay.
She got it. Next order of business, new business, Green Springs, site plan review and architectural review. Green Springs Capital Group LLC, contract the tax map number 303.17-13-14, hourly numbers 178 through 180 Maple Street, in site plan review to convert the existing building for a mixed use 19 apartment units with an additional 2,357 square foot of commercial space pursuant to city of Barnstable zoning code chapter 220-20C19. This requires site plan review. Okay, and architectural review. AR 25-003 Green Springs Capital Group LLC contract of tax map number 303.17-13 1 county numbers 178, 180 Maple Street are seeking architectural review to convert the existing building to a mixed use of 19 apartment units with additional 2,357 square feet of commercial space pursuant to city of Huntsville zoning code chapter 320-20D. This require architectural review and approval.
Good evening, staff, and saying we're Glens, engineering representing. Green Springs Capital Group, right, listed today. As well, the project represents Steve Riley, so it's my issue here, shortly to go through the architectural aspects of the, basically our objectives, what this evening are to go through the, site plan application to advance towards, approval of the,
What's that? Oh, they should got remove this thing here. It's put it here.
okay, sure, yes.
Like, we don't see. The latency, I don't need to see it, it's okay. But I'm thinking right here.
Okay, first off, as far as, existing conditions, we're located at 178, 180 Maple Street. This is, the corner of Maple Street and Cooper Street. So on the plan for the board's reference, this is, Maple Street, Mississippi, and Cooper Street, all on the, western side. Overall, person, 0.25 acres, so it's on the light industrial district. There is an existing construction on the project, pretty much takes up the inventory of the parcel. So, this area is the area where existing structure is located. This portion of the structure is a three-story structure, but the first floor is kind of ground, so on half of it, more or less more than a three-story, 2.5-story portion of the building. Balance of the building on the east side is a garage, it's a single story. So it's add on at some point in time to the overall structure. Overall, square footage is approximately 21,215 square feet. As far as impervious, as you can see, the building takes up the majority of the parcel. There's also a park voting area, southeastern portion, and the back is pressure water aspect of the back portion of the parcel. So pretty much entirely impervious in the person. As far as existing uses of the building and the basement, not basement level, there's an existing t-shirt printing company. That's like that. The structure is vacant at this time. As far as what is being proposed, two uses, commercial use and then market rate apartments. Versus the 2,857 square feet of commercial space. That's proposed in the garage, this is the garage portion, and over into portion of that first floor, the structure. As far as entrances for that commercial space, there are entrances available both for that structure and front of the structure. Also, as part of the renovations of the building, 19 market rate apartments that are being proposed, some in that basement level. Apartments have above the ground, 5 units proposed, 1 studio and 4 one bedroom apartments. On the first level, which is the same level as the commercial space, there are 6 units proposed, 2 studio, 3 one bedroom, 1 two bedroom. And then last but not least, on the upper level, there are 8 units proposed, 1 studio, and 7 one bedroom units. As far as parking, the city's part of the requirements, the commercial is required at 1 space per 1,000 square feet, and the apartments are 1.5 spaces per apartment. Not all 32 spaces are required for the parcel beyond close to 30. So meet and slightly exceed that part of the requirement. The applicants have taken part of the easement in the back of the project, so off of Cooper Street. Adjacent property owner, there was a portion where they're adding in place, and they're able to expand that easement. So they do have the appropriate parking to meet the city's requirements. We're also proposing parking in the front of the structure. Previously, there was a loading and parking area in this area to access the garage and the structure overall. We are proposing to push that parking towards Maple Street. There was parking in that area prior. As far as turning around, it's not something we need to turn around and back out. So it's similar to the current parking arrangement, but with balance in space, we're proposing to convert that from asphalt parking to green parking. Residents can enjoy a 55 cents way into the commercial area. Remove the asphalt in this area. That's going to be a green parking. Okay. Also in the back of the structure, where there was previously gravel and asphalt, we will have a walkway within the structure. We'll also have an area in the back. We'll be converting that to purpose area as well. The courtyard here, we are proposing a couple of bike racks as far as the building access. There is an existing building access directly on Maple Street to a home storage structure that will be maintained. There's also an access point roughly in this area of the structure, the southeastern side. That's been maintained, but there's an access in the back. Also, three access points, primary access points to the structure. As far as lighting, we are proposing site lighting for the parking areas. One site light in front for the spaces on the front, and 3 lights in the back lighting the parking area. There will be downward style fixtures, so no lights for the compliant fixtures light up that parking area. Last but not least, as far as utilities, stormwater, the site is primarily impervious. It's an existing site. Is draining off towards the area of waste storage system. The one proposing is to maintain that drainage and reduce the impervious area. So by the parking areas, reducing the runoff, increasing filtration into the ground. So we're trying to mitigate stormwater as best we can with those features. The site is served by public water and public sewer. Utilizing services more public water and public sewer. And this is for the presentation on the project. We did receive technical comments. We feel that they are technical in nature. After the vessel board went all those comments with the board, like we did receive comments from city engineer, city fire department, city fire department comments were very technical building permits. Which those items are addressed in the building. As far as the city engineer comments, again, technical in nature, I wasn't going to go through all of the board. Two that you want to discuss, I'd be more than happy to go through all those comments. But, 2 that I want to discuss were first off, number 1 is recommended to replace further away from the street, perhaps with the rear of the false parking lot is more appropriate. The dumpster is located in this facility. So we thought that was convenient for residents and commercial tenants to access that dumpster in that location. Also convenient for a truck to pull in, out, back out. Move that trash. The board does feel we would like to see it back. No, we feel we can do that. So that's a board discussion. The only other comment was comment number 5. Street, post off-street parking spaces along Maple Street, pose a safety and visibility concerns, with the blind spots of the present vehicles, bicyclists, and pedestrians, both Cooper Street and Maple Street. Cooper Street is heavily traveled with extra important seeking a t-shirt bag, especially on Thursday, market food truck rally. So, that's primarily related to the three parking spaces behind it. Again, this is an existing, was existing parking, existing loading, like to maintain those spaces because we feel we create spaces for the future, commercial tenant. As far as the number of spaces and, access out onto Main Street, or we think it's more than that because you know, outside of the sidewalk, it's too far. So we would like to, take those spaces. As far as like Cooper Street, right now, Cooper Street, this entire parking area is one track. There's no curb, flush sidewalk. We are proposing to take that part and channelize it down, create a specific access point, for that parking area. So we feel that's a big safety in that area. So the figures we have, we'd like to keep, I think, the board, as necessary. Outside of that, those are really the only two comments on how we discuss it. Yeah, that's for technical nature.
The parking spaces on Main Street, like Cooper Day,
I'll be able to, pass the sidewalk, so the sidewalk, where you can see.
Right, so standard parking space size, wondering if there was some concern for cars that's sort of being on Maple Street, especially when it's very, very difficult fence. Maybe I wonder if it would be possible to make them a little more.
That's very,
Push them in a little farther, getting those bumpers right off the sidewalk, give those spaces.
yeah, that's a great idea. Cars down the courtyard.
Something like that would be helpful for even the pedestrian experiences.
Good. Open this up. Would anybody from the community, from the public, like to comment on this application? No. No, no, no. No, come up, state your name and your address.
Carol, 18 Lowell Street. As well. Available, focus. The side of the house, there's no window. And anyway, concerned was about 19 apartments over there. I look at this buildings. It sounds like it would be. And so that's my big concern. It seems like the library apartments. Years ago, like 8 or 9. They were getting into the building.
Right, you saw that they were gonna do an office in there too, so that's.
So I guess that's what I'm here for, just to see what we do. And, yes, you know, get stuff. I drive a good space to make the street. And, so I decided to.
Did you see the drawing of where they're gonna have a parking lot behind it?
You see, I'm gonna get makes a difference, I guess, but I just don't know about routine birds. It's not easy. Thank you. Can you tell me where there's some parking spaces? I count 28 in the back, 3 up front.
Yes, there are 28, 3, and there are 2.
Oh, I see those two. Where? Oh, yeah, okay, got it.
Okay, if I could just quickly address the parking, again, we do meet, see the city's requirements for parking one space over, so we did provide a 1.5 for the 19. So we go there. So, what might be a great visualization considering that here, this is a underutilized parking area currently, so we utilize it for use.
Okay, yes, some more comments.
Hi, I'm Lee. I'm a media neighbor. Parking doesn't bother me, it's all set until on my property. It's the stormwater. I'm getting blown out by the water here. Where's the snow coming Where's the water? I can show you pictures, I got a 10-inch deep lake in the front drain. That's not there. That's 10 inches. That's a ton of water. So if you're heating it, bring the pavement out, you're pushing all that water in my basin. That is completely unacceptable in my. And then where's the snow? You got to fill it in June snow and what you not. That's a major concern. Okay. Nation.
No, maybe next to it. That's what, parking should. It's not. Yeah, I'm not, fund buildings, right? So part of the issue here is, you know, I get along with Jim and across the street fine, but, I don't want this to be a situation where he gets to eat his cake and have it too. So, I mean, he uses this space that we're talking about for parking for his business. I mean, when I came back up here, there were 5 Sprinter vans out there in my car. And the Sprinter vans take up more than one parking space apiece. So during the day, when he's got employees there, and there's even more vehicles. The question I have is, if he gives up this space, is he actually got enough space on his property to store all the cars and trucks that he's got, plus customers, plus access to his loading dock for tractor trailers? That's number one. Number two, Jim takes a lot of the snow load from his side of the street and dumps it over to the other side of the street. So what happens is that in the spring, you've got Mahoney plowing up his snow, you've got Jim plowing all the snow there, and then you've got both the ground frozen, and then it rains, so you got snow melt, and you got rain at the same time. And Mr. Mahoney's not exaggerating. That is a friggin' lake back there, and it's a lake for like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year. And it's 10, 12 inches deep, like I could go float a canoe out there, and we're talking like, you know, 100 by 150, there's a amazing amount of water that's in there. And even during the good storm that we'll get during the year, when the ground's not frozen, we'll have standing water out there for not as long, but days at a time. So there's a huge drainage issue there. The other thing that I noticed here, the way this is run, and maybe there's enough room, these 3 parking spaces in front don't really look like they leave enough room for any kind of access to the front of the building. So the only handicap accessibility for this commercial space is via the front, but if you've got 3 parking spaces there, it doesn't even look like you can get in there. And then, you know, my other question was, I don't have any problem, you know, apartments going into the building, but I know the last, and honestly, I didn't even comment on the last 2 iterations of this. I didn't comment, just, you know, fine with, what they were proposing, which, you know, obviously was a lot less intensive than what's being proposed now. But, I did note that, you know, those prior iterations had an elevator, so I don't know whether that's something that's required, for ADA. Commercial space with like funnel in there, with bathrooms and office that are separate level from, you know, the main level is accessible. And maybe it's all copacetic. I don't know. I'm just pointing out that the last iteration of this and really to address those issues, this iteration doesn't. So I'm hoping because it comes in, I don't have the expertise to say one way or the other, but certainly the water are the 2 biggest things, because, you know, Mr. Mahoney got himself off his property, I probably didn't notice his being city with my property, so. Anyway, that's a.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah,
And you sent us an email, June 25th, and it said the plan submitted to the board by the number 170 main comparison substantially more than the easement.
so, yeah, so each of these blocks is worth 5, it's a 50-foot easement, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 should come to about here. So it's a little deceiving the way this is drawn, but just be an honest mistake, perhaps. know this person having my son. This, because this is 18 foot between buildings, so that has to be 5 and 15 and a half.
Usually,
And I'm figuring that, even turn it in, there's no scale here, so. But
you see the drawings in here.
the drawing, I believe that portion of the drawing is accurate, at least. And again, like this here, I mean, you know, it's not even the width, it's, you know, the space between the parking lot and the building is not even the width of the sidewalk. So how can that be? It's all blurry. The scales on, it's actually the room here, eventually, you know, sitting there looking at it. And, you know, the other thing too, and so Naomi can probably say something about this too, you know, just, you know, I know in winter, we have, you know, some feelings between the areas for snow storage during winter. You know, maybe this is not, maybe it's not, I mean, gut feel, I don't think that's enough storage for the snow. But, you know, if they're gonna truck it off site, you know, maybe it is, but I mean, again, I don't know what the, I don't know what the requirements are. But I just know for myself, I really, for a lot of that size, didn't want to get for winter. You know, visual thing. So,
So this, where you were just pointing to on that thing, that's your building, and you move that big square.
this is one, and this,
And so,
so it's, the easement is 50 foot from the property. It's what the, you know, what I pulled out of counties.
So are we,
But that's, it's just, you know, that's just snow storage.
well, this,
So,
one is snow storage and one is, you're suggesting that maybe we're a little off of where the property lines and easements are shown, that they're kind of initially drawing under.
Well, I think this actually is off. But even if you look at the one, even if you look at the easement on the, because the building's 50 foot wide, plus 18, so this end should come less than halfway down the back of the building. Right, sorry.
your building's 50 feet wide.
My building's 50 foot wide, so it weighs 18, so it theoretically has to be less, has to be like 18 foot less than halfway down.
These are presumably scale drawings, so I just want to make sure that, like, do you have sort of any of your property that might?
I can see it.
In, well, actually, it's not surveying that, but the theory I'm waiting for students for a day here, and come out. Every time I call, it's, tell me which one it is. No, they don't have covered survey money too. But I know they do a survey, for Amy of 178. And I know it's, you know, boundary markers, they found all this. As a matter of fact, when they use it, they found these other so they can figure out this. So,
And let me ask you, because, like, you know, I assume it was certainly, I think this is probably, I just want to make sure if it's a mistake or if it is right, and just.
I'm just,
Yeah, I think, this, if you look at this drawing, and then go to the last drawing in here, where it shows the split, you got this. Over here, goes up along the asset building.
right.
Like that little drawing doesn't
Right,
work.
this is the scale line
Yeah.
of the site that's.
So, I mean, you know, I guess they can figure out what all that lays, I mean, that's really kind of the grand scheme of things, not the biggest concern. You know, but it looks the water, bigger than the water, makes the snow storage bigger than this. Yeah, this is probably fine.
It's parking there.
Well, there's the easement was for two parking spaces.
Right.
Which is these two that come into that area, and the balance with snow. Tim Moriarty had the design he was doing, he was gonna demolish this. We was gonna move the snow this way. So this is kind of a rework on what, you know, the easement works that probably better for what Tim was finding, you know, the original position.
Are you still comfortable with your rehab law said the plans so that versus the answer to the board?
Well, in terms of the way, in terms of what's online on the agenda, okay, that here is looks like it comes out with the show content. At least, you know, in terms of like, in terms of, you know, those blocks are each worth 5, right? So I'm just counting the number of blocks out, it's too far out. You know? Yeah, but again, you know, the biggest issue is stormwater. It's horrific, right?
So, try parking lot.
Yeah, there'd be some acre, right, and this is where, like, I mean, you know, because it's not only stormwater, it's snow melt too at the same time, so you expect to catch, you know, whatever, however many years storm you're talking about, plus however much you accumulate snow melt from winter simultaneously.
Yes.
That's what makes it even more ridiculous in terms of the amount of water.
Sure. You've got a lot of space off right?
So everything from my roof goes to a gutter is going into a dry well in my property. We put, there's a berm basically outside the property here, because part of the problem we used to have was all this water used to migrate onto my property, that will leak over here. But we're spending, on these properties, we spent a lot of money, there's 9 road triangles installed, plus a lot of grading to make things happen. And the roof on this building, the gutter goes, well, it actually goes into the ground, and it plumbs over to this to a drive well over here. And in fact, I've got to install another drive well over here, because even this winter, this didn't have quite enough oomph to keep up with the snow melt. You know, it doesn't storm, but, you know, the storm and snow melt together.
The reason I asked, with the whole bunch of neighbors.
No, it was all kind of controlled, but you know, it's, you know, it's all on this. Yeah, I went to look at the site last week, it was, yeah, I did look at. Yeah, like I said, it was rain heavy, it's, between rain and sea. It doesn't hurt. No, you know, and this is, like I said, it's lovely in winter, it's, you know, it's a lake, so.
So we would need verification on the information.
I sent you guys.
Because you also said they don't be called in for additional.
Well, yeah, so I'm going to find, and this is the same reason here, that's what I'm saying for, yeah. If I want to have a consider and say, hey, come on over here and use my parking lot. And here's some extra parking spaces for you. Where's that maybe for having? That's all I'm saying is that, you know, if Jim selling off, basically selling his parking lot, selling the ways to use those parking spaces when it's developing, that's fine. But let's see, have enough parking on his side of the street, but because this is normal, you have more parking. That's nothing, but so, like I said, sprinklers stay up in the parking space there, you can see right at the overlay. Hey, right here, long space.
It's interesting that brings up points supposed to be, people all ask for additional use. That means they needed more space. And you say, we're
No, no, and I don't know if they talked to Jim that first, or I don't know what the operations was.
yeah.
So I don't know if they called me first, probably second, probably first, probably second. So,
But kind of, he sold the business and retired. He's still there. He's not going to worry about selling it. He might have sold the business.
Still owns property.
Yeah. He owns the property by you, or all.
You know, that, you was putting the land food about that mile, that's, thing owns, property, they're leasing it. The new company is, he's leasing it, good enough. The land.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
If I could just, address a few items, first, as far as the, easement, I do feel that the easement that Michelle is appropriate, according to surveyors, it's, easement area, book 6287, page 29. It is outlined, survey that we did provide to, the city, was transferred over to the plans that we are proposing. As far as the gentleman reference, each one of the lots, is 5 feet, and it's actually not true, this is just, a hash pattern, which is the brand hash pattern, it's not necessarily in scale, we don't scale on the bottom of the drawing. And the width of that easement does, appear to match what's on the survey based on my visual look back and forth, we'll confirm that. We will check that and, make sure, as far as the rights of the two spaces on that easement, it looks like we have, small amount of two spaces extended to that as well, but nothing more than that, so I think that's appropriate as far as snow storage. We did outline some snow storage areas on one of our plans, we actually did outline that as well, snow storage areas, but my understanding, easement does allow the opportunity to, store snow in that particular area. As far as the stormwater impacts, runoff impacts, it sounds like there is an existing problem there as far as water drainage. And I can say the outlays, can't solve all the problems in the area. Northwood City, but they are reducing the impervious areas, so they will be less runoff, from the side of the bus areas that need to have snow removal. And, stockpile will be more green space to water areas, more of the water to, infiltrate soil, so, again, while they're not solving all the problems, I feel they are, to some extent, the impacts of this existing impervious areas, and this is existing, it's, we're not proposing any new impervious areas, we're taking impervious areas, away. As far as the access on the front, the 2 spaces, we can take a look at that, that is tight in that area. We are going for one space, space in that area to do that, so still meeting the city requirements, I think that was it as far as that. All the comments, and that's those before we were.
Hi, my name is Brian, staff member, and just for a little clarity, the parking space that Mr. Knapp owns, we're not going to be using this, we're actually purchasing that parcel from him. So that contingent on approvals here, we'll own it, so the easement is kind of a rough.
They just gonna push the water in the parking lot. But we're gonna do water parking or something.
Um, Okay, so I have some questions and comments, and I guess my first comment was related to stormwater, and just not to beat that horse, but this site plan shows, if I understand it correctly, flow off the parking lot into the road, is that correct?
That's understanding, which, exists then.
And I guess my comment would be, it is suspected that commercial property keep their water property on their site, and that is why we installed the dry wells. And I myself have not ever been able to get anything approved where we're allowed to send our water into the street. And I think dry wells would probably be really, that way you're taking care of your own business. That's all I was seeing.
And we can take a look at that, like right now, the drainage just go around there, like there's a lot of inflow over there, so, yeah, we're gonna say, think just for one line, I really, big space I mentioned, but yeah, just one line thing.
I understand that that's how it flows right now, and I think maybe we have a new development, there's a lot of closer there, every new development have the opportunity to improve. Whatever the infrastructure situation happens to be. So I think this is an opportunity to keep the water on the site.
On that site.
I think that's really important.
Yeah, it's, I cannot see, obviously, this getting approved without stormwater mitigation for that site.
Let's go on and
Let's do stormwater mitigation plan for that site. And it is, we've been doing a lot of business in that, right across the street on there daily. So there is a major issue there. There's-
so then, second goes for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that that's just conventional best practices for commercial development. As far as architectural comments go, I like the restoration of the bridge and the idea of restoring windows and fixing even red lighting in the see architects to that.
Hi, I'm Steve Riley, favorite Red Wilson.
What's that?
I'm Steve Riley, the favorite Riley Wilson, the architects of Garden City Park. Didn't hear your question.
It's the intent to clean the brick, fix it up, point it, tighten it up, right?
Correct.
And you want to replace the windows, there's a rendering up here, and it looks like.
We're gonna restore the windows. Or replace those that have been replaced before, but not because there are several that are just fixed pane glass that aren't actual operating.
And the sense I get is that you're kind of in the name of keeping things from the look of the original look of the film.
Yes.
Which I think everybody appreciates, especially in that neighborhood. Some projects come up before we want the windows to be as close to original as possible. Are they black?
Yeah, they are, and I mean, they bring us in. But we called out the actual green color in the submission. That's more color, it's
Black.
It's essentially a dark gray. What's on there now is that is lower than the color of the sheet.
And then your overhead door, that's new, that would be explained, but does that open up then to commercial space?
Yes, there are two. So there's one here.
Today, I'm going to be showing you the
One. The door overlooking the north part. And that is primarily dedicated to parking space. Tends to work better that way.
I think it's
Oh, yeah, they're the bottom.
so maybe.
Plus,
You indicated two possible locations for the meters. And I think we'd like to see the meters from the transformer on the north corner of the building. First Street side, I know there are some, because you're gonna be.
so this is the northwest. This is the northeast. We're suggesting you prefer.
I think in one of your elevations, there was a suggestion that maybe meters would be on First Street, because there are some there.
Right, at this corner possibly.
And I think pushing them away from the streets makes sense. right? One per apartment. Or that's-
Yeah, we don't disagree. I think what we're saying is that there may be a little bit of complication that the ramp wall finally plays out that is serving that north entrance to the building. Those are two good options as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but, okay, but it's, well, there are also some on the middle street.
Yes,
I don't think anybody was just.
I don't think it's required.
So my suggestion would be as many push towards the back as possible. Understand how many have to be on the way. My comment was sort of like a second, your west elevation doesn't really show on the site, so in terms of us as a board understanding what this would look like, it would be nice to see the length of the site because it's going to show the parking that's right next to the building and then entrance into the parking lot. In other words, you show the building, but there's that whole section of the streetscape right along here, so there's one parking lot there. You know, it's the fencing from the governor's house, that can, you know, just trying to understand what it's really doing.
Yeah, so I think we anticipate that the plan itself recites it. Speak to what we, I don't think we intend for fencing in place. Right about that, so. It would remain open, but if your point's well taken, they're sitting in from this point to basically going off the page.
It's gonna be cars, and then the dumpster enclosure, which I believe somebody already asked for details on the dumpster enclosure.
Right. Setback from the site, correct.
Yeah, about how nice fence, you know, how part of slats in it. Okay.
Joe.
Is the dumpster in the lake area for the water?
The dumpster proposed on the west side, right in the specific area.
And then my last question is just from an architectural code point of view, since you're restoring the building to its original configuration. Are those windows being progressed? Codes as requirements?
Good question. It's, first of all, it's not really referring to its original configuration in terms of space.
Not the inside, but I mean the exterior, the facade, I presumably does.
Yes, the building in general meets code as it's laid out today with egress paths internal to the building. The egress is adequate by 2020 existing building code for R2 F1. Technically speaking, that additional window exit that you're thinking of isn't required in this situation, utilizing existing building code. In a residential situation, it would be. Now, having said that, the basement apartments, the first floor apartments, most certainly do have that ability if we want to have that level of sort of belly suspenders ability.
I ask because if as you go through as you submit for a construction permit, if that is called for, then that will change the exterior look of the building. So we're trying to get out ahead of, oh, so
No, understood.
That we didn't expect or.
To understanding interpretation of the code, it's not required to have those windows at the second floor, full egress windows.
Basement.
Basement, first floor are available for that, but they are also not giving means of egress that we have.
He is correct, that was one of the things we looked at, as if they were required, because they have the two means of egress. Those windows aren't required for emergency exit windows, how we strongly encourage that we have that access, because it is sprinkler, it has the two means of egress.
Sprinklers.
Yeah, that, those are required.
And there's different levels of sprinkler protection, like,
Yeah, this is what we would call fully sprinkled. And there is a system there now, requires some reconfiguration, of course, given the way we're bringing space up. But we have opportunity to sprinkler this in the units and we get to in the hallways as well. It's, we're meeting code so far.
I just, yeah, and I only asked the question because, as I said, you know, we're looking at, and they're very nice renderings, in my opinion, just not wanting to be surprised by some change in the facade that was code driven down.
No, we hope not to do that.
Aaron, Molly, do you have anything else on this?
So we just had a couple of clarification points that we needed. One was the commercial space, what exactly it's going to be listed at. That's really just for my final approval, so I know exactly what section of code we're looking at. The other is the basement, second floor, dead end corridors, even if there's sprinkler, and max is 50 feet. So we just need to verify that there's no more than 50 feet in those dead ends. The sprinkler system, the plans mentioned 13 and 13R. 13 is more robust. The plan specifically mentioned the sprinkler heads. We need to know exactly what is what. We, by our interpretation of code, said 13, just because that's the more robust system. You can't dial that down, put a 13R head on it. So we just said 13 throughout.
Your role set entire system will need to be getting from.
Yes, yeah. Oh, and then the storage, just on the application and then the drawings, one mentioned 3 stories, one mentioned 2 in the basement. Just that same verbiage used this way, as we go to look through everything code wise, I can shut off that this is meeting all code requirements. But then really the commercial space was our kind of biggest hiccup. There could very well be differences if it's not one and to be mixed in with residential. I believe, if I remember correctly, the firewall met code. It's just there's anything special that needs to be in there, but it's mixed in with an R2. So just kind of nailing down exactly what that occupancy is going to be. And the applicants can change that occupancy later if they so choose to use that commercial space in a different way. But for us, it's, I can't give approval on 1 to 4 option.
So I think we agree 13 is probably the basis to go with, but anything we want to point out is that there is, to your point, a very robust wall between what is for dedicated residential and commercial. That's a 16 or 18-inch thick brick wall, which gives us more than we need for fire rating. That being said, I mean, some of these issues that we will tighten up. And probably could show you more detail and look at that and say, yeah, 13R works there, and 13 works there. Okay, yeah, for now, I understand. Go with it more robust and begin.
Most strict.
Yep.
My only other question is, are we treating this walls? Wall.
It's a good question. We would have intended to repair them and possibly reflatten them, but in that it is at the back of the site and we haven't really ironed that all out yet. I think the idea is to just repair them as best we can.
Maybe readable masonry coating and just, you know, polish it gray and just. Again, I think everything that is on, especially in that neighborhood is.
Yeah, whether it's cladding or coating, you're right, you have an opportunity.
Neutral, but just so this and.
Right.
I guess it's not like you have some clarifications you gotta have for, so you get. I think all the questions I have, first. And, you know, one thing we didn't have access to full site way. you had it there, see, in case there are, for me, myself, who that you're, you show the parking, see part of the names. Where the, some people, places are gonna be, gardens and that. So, it's
It's there, there is one.
This one has 20 spaces here, two that I can see before here. It's talking about really pushing them into the courtyard, so there's more space between the sidewalk and the spaces. But that's the reason that it's in the other one. Yeah, not the other one. And are those three handicap? It's not just hard to see. It's at least two handicap spaces, two handicap.
Yeah, we're trying to get that. That is the parties.
You see this? Tony?
yeah.
Yeah.
Eric was asking. No.
Correct.
Yeah, there's no need for one in this configuration of space. The egress and accessibility that we have to the levels that we have them. And I wanted to point out, we did lay out two ramp locations. The one we would prefer is the one in the north.
You point that out.
So
I thought you were saying you were going to.
you know, we're testing two, and I think the preference here is to make the one that is located there,
Yeah.
not the one that's here. Because that intrudes on this board that is some purpose to it.
And then that will provide with adequate access to the commercial as well as the residential. And that's the elevation you show with doors. It's very urban finish.
So that's right.
Well, I'm thinking, you know,
In your first floor plan, I also wanted to point out that we've got a little plan, but I think we need to rid of areas of refuge. In quantity, as to say, trying to have obviously the two. Needs to be addressed, one with the ramp, one with the area of refuge. There's a third one kind of be front, to the side as well. It's actually three places where people cannot climb stairs and can't get to the ramp to wait it out. That's,
and it's not our purview to make those evaluations except where it's and change the outside.
no, it doesn't change the fact that.
With regards to the elevator, there's elevator paths, so there's that free elevator,
That was the free help. And pretty cool.
just cable system.
It looks like, what's left.
And then one other question, maybe, yeah, it looks to be like a part of this rear parking lot. I know you talked about this. It's actually wrong. Yeah. Yeah, that area, looks like.
I don't think there's anything here, I think that picture.
But I think
Space is just energy.
Oh, no, those are boxes, storage boxes. Over there. They are still.
Yeah, I think all that's like. It's just, there's a bunch of grass.
What you're referencing as an easement, you're actually only that one.
I apologize. I was referring to that.
I think this is the owner that's here.
Yes.
Well, is this a fence around the park area? No, it's just actually this much. There's no fence around it.
No, that's just the outline, so the lines of the park.
And then what about, what's the plan for the parking lot? there's no curves or anything there now, so how are we gonna do the sidewalks and the curves? Out.
Oh,
It's gonna be one.
right now it's, there's a curve, it's just, it's a flush curve, everybody drives over, taking the spot. I would anticipate that this section of the curve, I'm sorry, sidewalk, look at the asphalt, and straight up, and the spaces would be straight, we would want the spaces that we have access to.
So it's still gonna be that line.
Correct, and it should be, 20 foot line for the drive aisle.
Maybe talking about doing new sidewalks there, and raising, what happened, actually, rest.
That is to be determined. I mean, there was a comment by the city engineer about assessing sidewalks on site. We have the sidewalks in very good shape, particularly obviously vision, perhaps moving that sidewalk, laying down the small, putting the striping, so it's a clear area for cars. Sidewalk, and so he's like, I didn't see any request of sidewalk. So if you can trust that in the city.
And then I'm still not clear, like, where is the snow removal gonna be? It's gonna be spots, I see.
On sheet 3 of 3, we're showing there's still some area back in this area. We're showing another one down this area, below. And those still storage areas, obviously, trouble still on site. Something.
Okay, no, I think everybody has to talk about this.
Certainly cover a lot. The elevator will. The head cost. And what are there? Condensers in there.
There will be, yes, they are quite small. They try to share in one of the drawings that you should have. The sight lines, the distances, triangulated with geometry, the distance from which you have to stand and actually see them is hundreds of feet away. Yeah, no. No, well, there is.
Hey, what I remember Dave, got the food for slow, like, try to, how I said,
It's a few meetings, that's it.
Yeah.
And
So once they're not.
right,
They're
they're
not.
not big, they're not big.
well, I was just,
No, they're dedicated, they're the number that we have placed, one for each section.
They're just so like, and just. Nothing else is getting on the outside of it, on other than the electrical.
Only what would be on the upper roof and the commercial space roof. And
It's not, you know,
it's not on the sides.
around.
Defeats the purpose.
But the AC will be on the channel.
That is what we're talking about.
Conservative, getting water in the basement. Basement apartments.
They are remarkably dry, yeah, a couple of times we've been there, they're very just bone dry. And I had the same concern, but, as far as we can tell, there are no risks that can't be dealt with. That are trained long haul.
This for the environment. For renting. Not getting it. What kind of layer you have, it's not. Can be. Those big enough.
They're actually quite large. Each one is approximately half the size of this table. Horizontal. And they're up high for sure, but the ceilings are also very high. And the cat sliding into the nice. Given the proportions of the space, they don't work as well.
It's the beauty, I guess. It's this full market rate.
These are market rates.
Ohio before.
I don't remember precisely, so they are not able to reach, most people, including myself, to open close. Get the operators.
The base there.
Third, second,
Third,
second, second.
second, you're second.
Are they gonna operate at all, things?
They are operational now. They can fund and store them.
So you can like operate. So they probably like a 12-foot ceiling.
Yes. Okay. That's about right. If you had it long. Heating, it's all based on, Glens units, yeah. And, we're talking about splits, we're talking splits at the moment, but it's all based on that. And it, based on the math, we're not quite there yet. If we have to augment that system with, say, 100 baseboard and worst heating demand months, that's what we'll do. It's just like running a challenge.
So these like these splits that are good to like. How do you get range or? What do they,
That's a good question. This technology changes rapidly. But, you're told that you get well below zero on this and still extract heat. I am a little skeptical. And I believe that you'll have some built-in redundancy in the system, not just relying on the heat pumps, which you may have like the resistance in also memory flavors. And, that needs to work.
We need to know a lot of stuff. Some issues.
My list was, stormwater management plan. The architect asked about your like to be multiple area, then consolidation. More details regarding the dumpster closure. You revise your drawings to say that. It's not as you said. And the stage show you the actual grant that we intend to use. One more issue with that is, the access to the parking lot, assess the sidewalks there to see if any additional sidewalk repair needs to be done.
You know, really, the city's really pushing for, to walk in the city and pedestrian and bicycles. So actual entrance and exit from that, even though that was just a big barrier before. So they're pushing for actual entrances and exits from that. Almost in some way, something to delineate your this new property from the neighbor's property. That parking lot, so there's separation space from. We don't have that, but people just drive across the neighbor's property into the other. You've got somebody waiting.
there's safe streets,
Yes,
some of the conditions that dictate what the sidewalk is. In addition, some places. And,
Leaves, let's.
there's something that would very long. Potentially third party space, but also on the street side.
Yes.
Yeah. was also something to, one yard, I think, one of the back.
Oh, a great scheme.
Yeah.
Both planning, plan. You want me to go through it again?
I think
Stormwater management plan, um, exact location for the electrical, dumpster enclosure details, the ramp, where the ramp is going to be, an assessment of the sidewalks, updated drawings for the watershed, deeper parking on the Maple Street for those 3 spots, and a planting plan for space.
You also asked me for extending the elevation.
Yeah.
You know, to just.
Yeah, just understanding.
Try to do
If you decide that you want to put metal cladding on that new section, which goes with the or if you decide to just go with.
Did you want the color samples?
Fine.
Yeah, you're part of that. One of the things, site plan change, this is just how it calculates, because on number 15, you answered yes to the site. Those actually contain any species of animal or associated habitats issued by the state or federal governments threatening endangered. You have yes, I'm assuming that is an answer.
That's all.
So, okay, fine, check.
Right.
What's that?
I know, I double check. Big check. What that is. Motion to table for the I'd like to make a motion that we place order table the application of Green Springs Capital City. Contact venue address now. As presented. July 2nd, 2025. August 23rd.
All in favor?
Site safety and architecture.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda, sign board review. BP 25-05. LLC, tax map number 303.17-13-8, the location currently. Are proposing all signs to be affixed to the side of the existing building pursuant to the city of Buzzwell zoning code chapter 220-20L. This requires sign board review. You can take that thing out. We'll go to the sides.
I'm here because I'm going to give you your list for this.
I'm the one son of who's going alongside of my business. It's a building.
I also have Eric here, who's the property owner.
So like suicide records.
Yes. I can kind of talk about the intention.
Well, it's gonna be like, I see, I guess, news, but it's gonna be like the other girls that you've done in the city, or have, if you need to cover over.
That's to be determined, it depends, but what, you know, I try to do the correct prep work and the right materials and,
Does anyone from the community like to comment on this? Eric?
If I need to, they should.
This office would be like Any comments on this?
What are you doing with the logo on the metal?
What am I doing on the metal? I'm painting on corrugated metal. Yes, I have many years' experience in painting. I've painted signs on corrugated metal before. And I know that it needs to be prepped, but I have a plan of action as far as, each surface has different.
You know, I know because it almost looked in your rendering, you're like.
Looks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. This is, looks like that's.
It looks like it's something that's attached instead of.
Gotcha, yeah. I think that was the intention, I worked with Ed and kind of the idea was to blend in a certain style he was looking for, like 1950s style drive-ins, to kind of match with his aesthetic within the business. And then, of course, the intention behind this is, it faces, it's on, private property facing. Yeah, so if you're gonna drive on boards and look down Kern or into the parking lot there in the ship factory, you would see it. So it kind of faces out to the parking lot there. Nope, it is just on the alleyway side there. And of course, it's to, help get business, draw people in.
I don't know, it's almost 4 years. So. Yeah.
It's creative. I love it. Great, you've done a lot of these mistakes.
Yeah, my intention, I think I was here exactly a year ago last year with Diana for the kitchen vine. Same deal where it's like signage / minimal work. Just trying to make a lane of, I love the old signage that you can still see. So
That's what I was just gonna say.
trying to bring that
There's
alive.
a few of those left around the city, they look really cool.
Yeah.
Same thing, every little spring. Just out of curiosity. Asking about the graffiti, is that like a?
It is optional, yes. The products I use are like a higher quality, exterior paint and, we will be doing some minimal prep work just to make sure that the integrity of it stays. But yeah, as far as the anti-graffiti, it's optional with each client, so.
I knew that, something else. It's sad that you need it,
I know,
uh,
so far so good.
but your artwork's great, it's just, I like to see that when, 100 years from now or something, it still exists.
Yeah,
I think that we have certain parts of the city, 100 years ago, I think they were great. It's kind of really nice one to pass.
absolutely.
I really don't have any issues with it. It's very. Sure. I think it's like.
Oh, oh, that's great, because, yeah, the building's great.
That's right. So it's kind of an interesting middle ground. It plays off of the colors of his logo, that blue, but it also kind of is the middle ground to complement the green metal.
Yeah, what we printed.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like a dual tone. It's almost like an icy light blue and then like a dark.
Also to make a motion of the Wisconsin Planning Board, acting as the board of sign review. Hereby. Acting as the board of sign review. The application of currently city handle is 18 Lane. For their sign, it's presented in July 17th.
Second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Did you have this on?
I didn't see much of that, I seen much. I made a lot of mistakes, but I'm saying. Yeah.
Motion to adjourn. All fair? So I guess we're mute on the, let's.
We'll have a conversation.
Okay.
No.
No.
Yeah.